Giovanna, Emma.
Evening, and thank you very much for joining us in the open discussions with Tsosi. We are discussing Tokyo 2020, the experiences that some of the team members that participated in the games had. I am joined this evening by Hame Mutibi, who was working at the Olympic Broadcast Services. She will tell us all about that because this is the first time that Botswana had somebody working in the Olympics. And I am also joined by Tsosi, a female boxer who also was participating in the Olympics, having been the first Botswana female boxer to qualify for the games. I'm also joined by Miss Magdalene Moyengwa, who was also making history as the first female weightlifter to qualify for the Olympics. I was not even aware that Botswana had females in weightlifting, so it was a beautiful surprise. During my time, I never imagined that we would be sending females to the Olympics in boxing and weightlifting. I'm in the studio here with Magdalene and Hame, and Sadi is joining us virtually. Welcome, Sadi.
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome, Magdalene.
Thank you.
And welcome back, Hame.
Thank you so much.
Welcome back, guys. And good to have you back at home.
Yes.
Let me start with you, Magdalene. Weightlifting. Wow.
Yes.
How did it start? How did you end up doing weightlifting? Did you choose it? You know, when did you start?
First of all, I wasn't a sport person. But when I was doing Form 2, where I was a physical education, then my teacher for physical education, she's the one who insisted, because she wants a coach for weightlifting. So she insisted for me to go and join weightlifting. And I was like, in my mind, I can't do weightlifting because it's meant for men. Yeah. And also, as for my culture, I won't be allowed to go and play that sport. But when she continued insisting for me to go and join, the first time I entered the gym, I saw like some other women there and other girls my age. So I was like, okay, so this is not meant for, it's only for men type, but even women can do this sport. So I was like, okay, I can also beat these girls. That's how I started weightlifting.
Oh, and nice. When you told nice, it's interesting.
Yeah.
You know the impact that teachers have on our growing up, because I was also discovered by a teacher, obviously.
Yeah, that's nice.
When you talk about your culture, what culture is that?
I'm a Zulu girl,
yes.
And in our culture we are not allowed to play sport or even go to school because right now I'm 20 years old, and by this age, by this time, I'm supposed to be married, doing household chores and bearing children at home and doing everything. And because we are not allowed, but because of my father and my parents, when the first time I broke the news, my father was against it, but when time goes on, he knew that I had passion, and he just started supporting me for the first time when I was competing, when I went to compete at Uganda for the youth and international competitions. That's when he knew that his daughter can do this.
She can do this.
Yes.
I'm just, it's quite interesting, and I want to know if, I'm not a facilitator here, but it's quite good. Yeah, I want to understand, is it because of you're not allowed to play sports, or is it because ka ha go aparwang ka teng mo sporting go re batswana ba re tlhaloganya gore a mme ke sport kana ke gore sport is na le especially weightlifting wa apara tse di go tshwaranyana yana?
Maybe it's both, because especially in weightlifting, I have to expose my body to everybody, which is not allowed. And the other thing is that I have to be married by this age and bearing children, doing household chores. Yes, and taking care of children.
Very interesting topic for another day.
It is.
So, Sadi, boxing. I actually, I grew up with boxers. Every time I went on our national teams, because I'm a former track athlete, we always had boxers that we traveled with. So most of the people that are even coaching you, you know, I was in the same national teams with them. But how did you start boxing? I've done a little bit of it, but just for DJ hell.
Okay, I started boxing at 2012 when I was in junior school. So kahela go bua nnete ke go bue ke kana le basimanyana ke le mosimanyana ke dumelela go ntse ke ana mona go tseke tsa me. So I was a bully at school, and then
I like the admission.
Yeah, I was really a bully at school. So one time, me came now like if you took us stuff from me, mama na bile took us school. But I mama so na swing about na. Some other time teacher na kucha boxing abantari. Me kana tika babela ko punching beke mo sumo kwa mbaba.
And what was your first competition? When was your first competition?
My first competition in Olympiads no 2012 when I came to when I got a gold. At first I get an like but don't pay but don't pay this it like it's like it's a gold in my first competition. Then I was like, oh okay, but how I can do it.
Yeah. And how old are you, Sadi? How old are you? You started competing in 2012 at the same time basically as Magdalene.
I was 2012 I was 17 no 15 I was 15 when I like 24.
Oh, okay, wow, very interesting. And so when did you qualify for the Olympics, or what other competitions did you take part in prior to qualifying for the Olympics?
All Africa Games in 2019 in Morocco. That's when I knew I can make it for the Olympics, because the same people we were competing with All Africa were the very same people who qualify. So I got a gold All Africa Morocco. That's when I had confidence offering. Okay, but I don't know gold All Africa. I will qualify because they are the very same people back who compete when I qualify.
Yes. And for you, Magdalene?
Unlike Sadi for boxing, we qualify with every competition that you compete by that moment. In our weightlifting, we qualify only qualifiers they come a month before the Olympics. So, but as Sadi said, like All Africa Games, that's when I made history, because I made like new PBs, new targets and everything. Even my performance was far much better than every competition that I started like 2017. But while going on, compete go Uzbekistan World Championship, that's when I made my entry. The qualifications. That's when I realized that even my coach has told me, Ori, you have qualified, even though the rankings CDs, but with these competitions we have qualified.
Let me take you back a little bit. When did you actually start competing outside school now? You know, when did you make the national team?
Weightlifting is just the national team because it's only in national team only because there is no other weightlifting clubs. So my first competition was we only have international competition. We don't have locals competition. So those people that you meet for your first competitions, they are the ones who are gonna compete with you.
Yes. Right inside.
Yes. So you will be knowing that this one, if I can do this, I can beat my partner.
Yeah.
Yes.
So when you qualified for the Olympics at the All Africa Games, what went through your head? What was the feeling?
For the first, I didn't know that I qualified for the Olympics. What I knew at the All Africa Games, I didn't get a medal, but my performance there, that showed me that for the Olympics, I'm going there. And something they change against competitions in Komarawa. And the other thing, after that competitions, I had another competitions last year, 2020, February, the World Junior Championships, and did go Uzbekistan. That's when I knew I qualified for the Olympics. Even though the rankings, the weightlifting, they came a month after, before the Olympics.
And how did you feel?
I was happy because even
just happy.
Yes, I was more excited, more than happy. Yes, but that's when I started preparing for the Olympics because I knew that I qualified, even though some of the other people, they didn't know that I qualified. Yes.
When did you tell your family that you had qualified?
A month before competitions, when the
rankings
were...
before the rankings came, you were like, nah, I've qualified. Yes, I know, I got this.
Yes.
Okay, how did they feel?
They were happy and they were wishing me all the best. And the other thing, after I knew, now the world knew that I qualified for the Olympics, I was more happy, but I just started questioning myself for cultural, you're not allowed to. So I was like, right now, the competition setting is because it wasn't much published. So these are the major games everyone are gonna see. So I was like, cultural who are against me and who are against this sport. So what they want there. So moralo no awanyana.
But that balance, trying to strike that balance.
Because everybody will be watching the games. Yes.
Wow. Wow. This topic we need to have, Khani. Sadi, when you qualified, take us through that moment. How did you feel? What went through your head?
It was crazy. Like, I felt like I'm a beast.
Wow.
I was so very excited. Like, being the first Motswana to qualify in boxing. But I relate that why so boxing? You can have a laugh of more for a punch it slow, but that time. No, home.
That's brilliant.
I was so excited.
And let me take you back before I bring in Khami. Let me take you back to you talked about the fact that at school the reason your teacher took you to boxing was that you were a bully. How has competing, especially competing at the level of Sabudi Olympics, changed that?
Starter first sports ke selo sa discipline. Discipline boxing. Then people started asking for when I change when I'm guys how sa tole mo sporting onale o discipline ntsi ha o sa tholo kgatha ke dintwanyana tse dingwe tse di tshetsanyina kana go school ra bo re bolwa ke peer pressure
Yes. It's interesting because you saying that, Sadi, a lot of boxers, I mean, even totally top professional boxers, were discovered from street fighting. So very interesting that they come into sport and it totally disciplines you. Khame, let me bring you in.
Emma,
I'm enjoying this conversation. Yes. Khame, what is OBS?
Okay, OBS is Olympic Broadcasting Services. Emma. Yeah.
How did you find out about that?
I feel like, you know,
and especially working, because
Yes.
for us, the assumption is always that you are volunteering.
yes, and I feel like, okay, I'm between the 20 years, 24,
Yeah.
and I'm 40 something, you know.
Yeah.
But I also
I'm
feel
almost
like
50.
yeah, and I feel like, okay, but it's an inspiration to know it's never late.
Yeah.
O ka tsena at any point, yeah, wherever you want to go. But OBS, it's Olympic Broadcasting Services. I went to do my master's school in Japan, and then I was sponsored by Sports for Tomorrow. Sports for Tomorrow is an Olympic 2020 legacy program. So the legacy program, they're going to sponsor, but for masters, but they have potential to change the world. So from the year but after we win the bid to the last year who hosted the Olympics, we are meant to be the last group, but because of the extension at the Olympics, there's another group. So that is how I got to be in Japan at the right time during the preparations for the Olympics. So obviously, because we are a legacy program for the Olympics, we become very close to the preparations. The first time we were taken to see all the venues, everything hasn't. So, and then we are given all the opportunities a team attach, because teams like Team GB, Great Britain, during the time. And then OBS they are going to be a production assistants. We are a volunteer program where the game. So there are a lot of opportunities. So most of them were coming to us because we are there at the right time. So what we had to do was to choose which one to go to. So for me, I felt like, you know what, I've been a volunteer. Team attach is something that I think I've been close to, because I was a team manager for Team Botswana 2010. So I felt like, let me start something new. I'm going to broadcasting. And I applied for OBS.
Lovely.
Yes.
So you were employed?
Yes. What happened was that there's a different kind of employment. But BT, because you had to go through a training program, because we were students then. So the students you go for training, or train in broadcasting, camera, how to, and I remember era practical. A hockey game, live. So where the cameras were all over. We had to make sure so I was told that I'm very good with camera, so I thought even at the games I'm going to be doing camera, but when I got there I got a different role. But yes, I went through the training at broadcasting.
Lovely.
Yes.
Lovely. You were in Japan, like you said, reading for your masters during the time when they were actually preparing for the games.
Yes.
You know, what lessons you've been, I mean, you've worked at BNSC, you were a director at BNSC, you know, you volunteered in sport. You were, at one point, you were the SG table tennis.
Yes.
And you've been part of, you led the hosting of the IWG conference, and you've taken part in the hosting of other games. What learnings can you say we could pick from you know, what you saw, how those guys were preparing for the games? Because you were there for basically 2 years when they were preparing.
I think there's a lot to learn, but I'll say Botswana is doing very well in terms of hosting, because the experience that I got here was easy for me to just get into the role with the team, especially that I ended up co-logistics. It's something that I've been doing high host. The difference I like with IWG, I was emotionally invested to see it in a successful, but more into saying I don't want to fail. I don't want to comes to Motswana failed good gaming, Motswana Basi Musile, all those things. I was cautious around that. So mine was to deliver and also to make a case for next time but the learnings are quite a lot, especially that the technology that was used there is the technology that we can actually use more Botswana as well. So it's a lot of things that I'm ready to share with any sporting coach and hoster. I've already reached out to Region 5 to say I'm available to share my experience. I was actually attached to golf, and the venue golf, and it was the first time you can have golf. By the way, you join a golf.
you can play with me.
Okay.
I'll teach you after beating you a few times. Magdalene.
Yes.
These Olympics happened at a time when the world was in a pandemic. Obviously, that came with a lot of challenges. Your lockdowns, restricted movements, not much, competitions because you guys couldn't go out to compete. And especially for you and Sadi, I'm going to pose the same question to you, Sadi, that the types of sport that you do, unfortunately, you guys don't have much competition locally. So you needed to be out there competing. What challenges did you encounter in your preparation?
In our preparation for the Olympics, we had like many disadvantages and challenges that we went through. And like, as I can say, in our country, we don't have much equipment. And unlike if we have gone to other countries for the training camp, equipment there enough, and I'm the only female in Botswana. I can't compete with the other boys because there's in different categories, and even if I can train with them, there was no competition at the really thing. But unlike if we had gone to other countries for training camps like America, club America, weightlifting, never could train and other countries, but we couldn't go because of the pandemic and restricted movement. And when I go different nyana ko di Olympicing and performance I mean given itoka haditse nyana go le botoka nyane and mo hape mo re ne ra ka se ke re khone go ke gore gape mo Botswana ha re ntse re trainer yana ne ga tla go nna le di lockdown re sa khone go train, and we were forced to train at home mo ile gore na go tseng go lapeng we are not given enough time gore o has sport na go robo tshwantse re have your family time gore to do household chores and other things. So maybe that's the other thing saying gore we couldn't prepare ourselves well for the Olympics.
You brought out a very important point, infrastructure
and also gender roles
yes. Hey Sadi, what were your challenges with all the lockdowns and restricted movements, no competition and so on?
The time when I qualified, I was excited ready for the competitions because competition is nearly 3 months away when I qualified. This pandemic then I tried convincing myself for at least I have more time to prepare, but challenges lockdown and equipment punching bag then challenge then ha ke le ka go train up ke le kwa lapeng ke re ke ata boga go le baleng ga ke tsenye more effort e tabeng ke na le coach antar Sadi run ampa that motivation ha ke le kwa lapeng ke trainer ke le miss ha ke lapa ke ituna ka
ke lapile it's not just you my darling.
Yes, so go ha teng e be go pompola thata then kana rona le gale le weightlifting tshameka ka di weight I'm lockdown yana ke sa Jimmy wait yonere up I'm going up, so
go
I had a challenge
go into that and tell us how you managed to bring down that weight, because it was all over the news.
Yes, I had to cry myself to sleep every day because weight in in person, like I'm very tall.
I've seen you compete a few times actually.
Yes, so very weak and very thin because I make at that weight. That was the competition. I don't think I'll make it. Like I can feel it, but because he believes in me, he kept pushing for it. No, I know we'll make it. Let's just do this. Then it would key. Now let's continue.
Typical coaches. But you know, they play such a vital role in the life of an athlete. It goes beyond just competing. Let's talk about just briefly the psychological support. Did you feel that you needed psychological support, Sadi?
Our psychology. But hela gore ke feel better. I needed my mother le nkgonne ke bue le bone ke bona batho ba neng ba ile gore ha ke kgonne go bua le bone, like okay, now I feel better, then I continue.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my coach is the one person you need I need to talk to you.
Yeah.
About this and that. Hey, you being the only female more bad name. Left out because then
yeah. That's brilliant. I can almost relate to that because during my time as an athlete, I was almost the only female amongst men.
Yeah.
There was not a lot of women during my time who were actually doing track and field. Track and field, but never like bisa competitions and so on, cooks if anything. So I can almost relate. Fortunately, I was normally actually I was always older than them. California.
Yeah.
That was the lot. Yeah, that was the lot that I was running with. That was at my justice to paper. So I was older than them. So Nekele, I was like you know, a mother figure.
Yeah.
You know. But let's talk about that. Did you ever feel at any point, Magdalene, that you needed psychological support, and how did your family as well come in to help you, your coach?
Just like Sadi said, we needed psychological, but most of the time, since last year, my father passed away because he was the one who supported me through this sport, unlike other people. Because every time, even I go to get training, training. So since last year, I needed my mother and my siblings because even if my siblings had to encourage me each and every day. So every time I had to go campaign, but because coach na thaloganya seemo sa me ne khona go mokopa se ke ka re ka weekend a re train ke opa gore ke la pen, then coach ha ba ke ikutwa coach na khona go kisa la pen go tseng if he's free, then go tseng ne ke ikisa gore ke go bona batsedi because he knew gore by that moment I was ne thokana le batsedi ba me le bonna again. He le ena gape na thaloganya gore ha ke se mo training na khona mo botsa ra ke wa toga lapeng if o free ko sekolong ha he doesn't have lessons na khona go tamptswa cause ne sa dumele go tswa mo
o tshwarisa coach or ra go utsa.
Yes, but it's a good thing.
It's a good thing. I like, well, they're listening.
Yeah.
But he knew my problem, so I needed my mother and my siblings the most. Immediately coach na kwene ke motoka teng na le teng, and immediately a psychologist ya team na le teng.
Lovely, lovely. Back to you, Khame.
Emma.
We always complain about media coverage for women. It seems Japan did quite well. You know, what do you think they did to give women such a good coverage? I mean, there was a lot of issues that were coming up in terms of women's attire, some teams striking and so on.
Yeah.
What do you think they did right, and what learnings can our media pick from that?
I think we need to start applauding Japan. This is the first time the game is that close to be gender equal, because they attain 49% of women participation in the games. So we need to start from there. For the first time in history, Japan attained 49% of participation of women. And then going to media coverage, I think because it was already deliberate from IOC to say this is what we expected. Remember, just for example, two flag bearers for flag bearing. So media coverage, it was from now on we need to see a coverage about mehola. But besides hola, even the sexism in terms of the comments that are usually made and also the kind of, we even look at the fact that camera really so those things so we are hoping by Paris 2024 they would learn, because I think education is now going into the media people. But working with the production people, I had a few discussions with people about broadcasting just to understand their perspective, because I remember they knew me as one of the BTP person. I'm a production assistant and that's it. So when I'm comment Osaka, Naomi Osaka, that match that time at all tournament Simon by Harry mental health issues.
Yes.
So I turned and said, no, you're not gonna say that. So when they looked at me and said what, then we had a discussion, and then someone went into my profile. Oh, okay, you come from this world. So that's when the discussion went on. When the discussion went on gender equality issues, they made it clear to me, you know what, Kami, our interest is broadcasting, not those issues. For Narwa Tamadi, our client gets mama. We need to satisfy our client, and we need to give the client a content dialogue.
Yeah.
The client will be a media house, right?
Yeah.
So you realize okay, they've never been into this kind of discussion. But probably between IOC and OBS, the discussion has started. The gender equality. They are now discussing the coverage aspect. So I truly believe that eventually we'll see a lot of change in terms of women at coverage game, as well as sexism. We can only say but they're far from reaching where we want them to reach.
Yeah.
Emma.
We'll host a topic on that, one of these days, because sometimes it's also information trickling down.
Yes.
That we assume that even the people that are actually behind the cameras, the scribes, are actually aware of what's being agreed on at the top.
And also for me, when I was there, I kept on wishing that, okay, I may have this opportunity, but I wish someone from our media could be here, someone from our broadcasting could be here learning what I'm learning. And I felt like, you know what, we need more of Botswana, because I'm there as Botswana and I want what I'm learning for Botswana to be able to learn from that. So for me, I felt like I wanted Botswana to be there to learn, because I'm not a morning person. I work with you.
No,
I'm not a morning person.
You are not.
And one day we are told that like 3:30 a.m. I was like, what? 3:30 a.m. It was not as it was not something that I felt like I can't do this, but I had to do it every day until they gave me the hell. Like I will have 3, have 4, and work at 7. I'll just go and sleep. And I'm like, why am I even here? I'm not even forced to be here. I chose to be here. Why did I come here? And I felt like, you know what? You learn a lot from that kind of environment.
Yeah.
But last thing that I want to say in terms of learning, I was privileged to work on the timesheet management. That I feel it was okay. I'm not. We are a workforce, but it could work for the volunteers as well. Mobutu, how to manage our volunteers, how can the workforce hell. And I'm also privileged to work with the system. COVID-19. It could help in us managing our events going forward without necessarily saying high competition early. But it's something that you can learn from what happened during Olympics, and then competitions can go on.
Yeah. Let me come back to you, ladies. Sadi. the sport, and both of you, I'm going to pose the question to both of you because you guys are in sports that are not popular in Botswana in terms of, females. It must obviously affect, your competitions, your preparation. How do you think your sporting coach could actually address that issue with female participation?
Emma, so kgang hala e nngwe tona ke gore o bona ko mahatsheng a mangwe batho ba bangwe o na le di-sports academy like they live ka sports ba nna ko sportsing because ba amogedisiwa for sports yaanong they have the attention fully mo sportseng wa bona wa itse gore ha tshwanna fa go batla tiro ha tshwanna fa go batla sekolo ebile ba bone madi hela ha le mo kempeng bona na right now ke mo lapeng ga ke bone madi as ga e se hela ke le go kempeng that's when ke bona 50 pula ka letsatsi but batho ba bangwe because ke se ko Thailand bona le team A until team D mo team A until team D bona le banyana ba ka tshwara bo 4 ba compete because ba tselela sports ba itse gore ba nna hela mo sportsing ebile they get motivation to go amogela sports hela but yaanong ha eta gore mo Botswana ga ke le malapeng ga ke na sepe se ke se jang ga ke na sepe se ke ithekelang to electric ka sone so ke a go bona gore sports a sena mosola ebile a se ntswele mosola ke a gore ya go batla tiro be ke thulaganya sports.
True, very true. Magdalene.
She laughed again. She said that
I know. Yeah, I know.
Just like
that.
Like she said, I was telling Jaime that sometimes you can even see gore sports na go tsena sna musolo. Kana go mhatsinga maja ka buile or ko Thailand in weightlifting I know one country in China. Barape kore they live for weightlifting. Barapela weightlifting only. Kore bana ba tse di ba togedisa bana dikolo to go and kore be go nna mo there's a campus ya weightlifting only bana ba togela ditiro bana ba togela dikolo to go and live for weightlifting. They kore modimo wa bone ke weightlifting. Ano ke mo Botswana ba sa dire gore ha ile ngwana ya ka nna ke le ngwanyana wa ntha mo Botswana and I'm the only female mo weightlifting and weightlifting ke le ke sponsor ha se tsagala like Sadi gape she's the only female boxer gape le gore she qualified mo nakong etelle and sports ha se mo ka re khatlisa ba Sadi but they were shocked or why ngwanyana mo boxing and weightlifting. Why don't they make up something say lore I'm not like ke buela nna le Sadi kore all sport hela just because nna le Sadi ke rena ya number itsegeng and we are popular and we are the only females
and you are in sports that don't have females.
Yes. We are the only females who qualified for this Olympics and people were shocked or these women why so if Botswana kana di committee tsa botsa sports ba ka nna le khatlhego ya gore bana ba go lele mo sportsing ha ba ka utwa Sadi a re ke tshelela 50 pula ka letsatsi ke le mo camping only they won't be interested in sport but ha ba ka ditya ka mahatsa mangwe le gore bana ba tshelela sport nkebe mo sporting kana mo weightlifting kana mo boxing we are competing locally. We don't compete locally because I'm the only female and I can't compete more locally because I'm the only female and I cannot partner. I don't have competitors so that thing discourages us. Mo ile gore hela re bogolo ke sa tlogele sport ke a go bona gore ke ira ka sekolo kana ke boela ke ipatlela tiro gore ha ke le mo lapeng ke bona se ke se jale toiletry unlike ke nna ke a training hela ke sa go sena sepe se sentswela mosola.
Yes I always go ahead Sadi.
Ke paleletse mo go ene ha re ya ko camping ba re biletsa campe they expect us gore re tere re lefiti wa bona ga ba itse gore ke pagama ke a jeming le gore do I have se ke jimang ka sone wa bona.
It's always I mean even for myself as a former athlete it's always you always have to choose almost more high and you always have to choose especially between academics and sport and for a good number of us we then don't end up excelling as well as we could had in sport because we just choose academics So I do sport. I mean, I did that. I did sport literally ka spare time aside. It was not something saying what how can I test the nigga test the nigga how I'll test it coincide the competition. I'll miss the competition. Yeah, testing.
Yeah.
But you guys are bringing up very important points. We need to get to that. You know, it's a conversation. But I hope
they're not discouraged.
Yes, that is where I was actually going. But I hope it doesn't discourage you ladies, because you know, look, others have done it. Boamandle have shown, Christine Botoges have shown. It's possible, you know. So just perseverance and to that out there. And you know, getting your coaches. Your coaches are quite exposed. I know both your coaches very well, and I know that they're very exposed people. So I trust that they will make a plan. There's an issue here, menstruation. Let's talk about that. Let me start with you, Magdalene. It normally, we had a topic, we actually discussed it about 3 months back or so. It's an issue, we must always talk about that, because we are the ones that experience it. And in some instances, you know, where you don't give your all because of perioding and so on. How do you deal with it? Training, how to prepare, get competition, not just the Olympics, just general competitions.
Just like, you know, the period pains, yeah, that's what I do. And imagine killing one and kill one. Yeah, I have a man by 5 lead coach. It's a baby. Yes, a ban. I don't well one and the record competition or record campaign. And this thing once happened, we'll go Uzbekistan. Yeah, good world championship. And I was like, tomorrow I'm competing. I wasn't ready for a period, but the moment in the morning, I competed that day in the afternoon. The PP very small, and I didn't know how to tell. No, but I had to train. I had to compete, but no, Nikisa itu nkabulela coach yang, nkabulela di partner ata meja, because Nikisi close to the more one happening kasi kure. Nikisi comfortable or nkabulela monna, hori kana kisemo sa mesentan and happy houses the people telling mauto kana go tsamaya and so forth. So in a disadvantage that I'm gonna moile gore, even though ke khone go tsa position better, I got position to that time. Kilemodi paining, but at the end I had to tell my coach or na coach that because I missed one lift way. So coach you look weak today. Then I had to tell my coach or kana say musamikisi, but before that nikisi comfortable ka khanyete khanya discourage mo. Some of the other kids or banyana ba they're not comfortable to open to other men or boys hore ka dia motsabon. So
but you feel it's something that's important to do.
Yes.
Yeah, and something that you should be. That's why we always say, let's have at least a manager and me.
Yeah.
Because you could but I don't manager and she could have said.
Yeah, and she doesn't have to be a weightlifter.
Yes.
Sadi, how do you deal with that?
Santahela kiri obana le kwentela ga manager ranne coach in ne motho wanne, because coach ke ene motho o berekang le ena thata. So manager o taba re attendile meeting o khakala and ha khone go araba megala ga go tshwantse wa mmolella, because ke ene mosadi o tshwantse wa mmolella gore go buele coach ka gore go ha ke na le same. But because coach ke motho yo berekang le ena ibile wa go itse gore a go ntse ara go direga yang, ba tshwantse banna ntse ba the coach tsa basadi. And I'm gonna be the first coach here go boxing.
Nice one.
We like that. Yeah.
Nice one.
Yes.
Yeah.
And ka khanya menstruation. Nna kana mmele me o a ke tsore ke tare o rile o motlhofo. Ha ke nna le anxiety yentsi kana ke nna le letsapa le lentsi. Ke tsana mo perioding. And ne ke bolella our team doctor gore no period an e ta gantsi. Like ke khona go dabola mo kgweding e one. So nna ke sa just gore ha re le gaufi le di game ba di emise. I once had a mention a kanya thing for okay rena le mokento khona go emisa for kgwedi hela for the games then it go tswelela ya mhaisi but that action ya gore ba ka o dirisa mokento wa teng but I suggested gore ha re ya di game e be ba rufa because go register ba thata nna ke trainer ka nne ka phete ya shoota ke ema gantsi ke a ba kanya ke botsa gore ga ke train sentle wa bana ya no imagine ke le mo ringing hela ke ayana mpetsa ka ha di phete ke lwantshana le tsona.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah,
that's a good one. Thank you for that. It's a topic that we'll continue having. I think it must definitely come back. We're coming close to the end of our conversation, but I want to start ending with you, Jaime. We don't see there's a lot of opportunities for anyone, you know, at these major games to volunteer. But we don't normally see Botswana taking up such opportunities. What do you think could be hindering us? What is the problem?
Yes, I think obvious among other opportunities that I've had, inputs the same question. Out there, especially more sports, there's so many opportunities, and it's easy for even sports entrepreneurship. I would find myself kids at the OB event here, OB event, and I would like kind of made that, but they understand so me being me, and I feel like these opportunities are available. So from now going forward, through SMA to help where are the opportunities because I truly believe Botswana should be there for Paris 2024 Olympics. But volunteers, apply for BTP, apply for OBS, anything. Rubane Botswana bali 3-4 because the Canada thing happen go tswela gore Botswana ba leng gore ba go France gompieno opportunity for bana ba go France go gore ba simolle go apply ba le gautshwane le di game and Botswana ba leng gore ba bua French, it's even added advantage and ba bantsi mo Botswana. So ke re timela gore le rona tla simolla go we do share actually. If people follow our page, we do share a lot of opportunities that are there. Ha gona le post ka ra share, ha gona le funding ka ra share, and we'll continue to share. And what Sadi has said right now, it's also education, the coach this is what we need. Issue the menstrual period. They coming from Tokyo 2020. The question would be, I don't know if you had the game. Were you giving but to tell the condom how the condom made them that's a conversation that we also need to look into. But opportunities are there to see. The opportunity. The hit Google how Google Paris 2024 currently Bahira for full time. Bahira from everywhere. Birmingham 2022. Bahira for like a 6 months. It's for the game hell. So during the game, it's a long term, it's a short term. So but especially when most sporting, they know these games will be so I think it will be easy for us to get into that. Our production, so how about the qualification now production? You have interest.
Yes, Emma. And the passion. The athletes that are watching, there's always opportunities out there. Coming to the end of the session, Sadi. So what are you up to now?
Emma.
What are the plans going forward? Are you at school? Are you in a job? What's happening? Going forward with boxing, that is, as well.
And Paris 2024.
Okay.
And Paris 2024. There's so many other competitions. And Paris 2024 is only 3 years now.
Yeah,
it's not even 4 years for the next Olympics.
Yeah. Okay. Currently, I'm not schooling. I'm not working. Focus is sports in banana. And I'm looking forward for the last Olympics.
Yeah.
Preparation started already for Paris 2024?
Not yet. Yes, it's okay.
You're breaking out through, yeah.
You're breaking out. But are you looking for a job? Is your focus totally on boxing? You guys were talking about gore ha le mo campaign le hiwa ma 50 pula hela. During my time, and this was early 90s,
how about
I'm
campaign?
surprised. During my time, it was 10 pula. And, you know, over well, no, but what I'm saying is, it's been well over 20 years since Kisimola, you know, as an athlete, and we've only gone from 10 pula to 50 pula. That's not good. That is not good. Yeah.
I'm looking for a job. I can drop some applications, but studying medicine, I'm looking for a job.
Yeah. Ba re sinkisele ba rona ba mo sport ba reditse ba mo sport ba sinkise bana ditiro, because unfortunately mo Botswana, like they've both said, you know, you can't really make a living out of sport. You can,
yeah.
but you know, we are not there yet. Magdalene,
Mama
Emma,
you can make a living mo sporting, but sport has so similar sa fela.
Yes, totally true. Very true.
Yeah.
Magdalene, what are you up to?
I'm looking forward for going to school, because since Getswala Nikilibilor, because sport since Getswala from 5, I just breaked because Nikilibilor, because I regret sport and Nikilimon one sport. So Nikifilor, I can encourage some other girls or Babon or sport weightlifting or boxing, like I said, the other one. But Wakabona or Yami sport is a so I know Botswana. Like I said, in our more camping, Harry more camping actually. You are only given 50 pula per day. When after house at total more campaign, salary to the Olympic, remola paying. We are not yet started. We haven't yet started for preparing for the Olympics, Paris 24, and the Commonwealth, the next year. And the Bolivia. Hakuna mosola for sport or so the better thing to find something out for sport for tomorrow your career in sport ya hell want to one or nyame there is something say lore with the want to
Yes.
So it's great.
yes, for now I'm just looking forward for going back to school.
That's great.
Yes.
That's great. I want
it's quite interesting.
No, but maybe you see.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. But Sadi, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It was really enjoyable, and Magdalene, it was enjoyable chatting to both of you. You know, it's always great to catch up with athletes, for us to get to know you guys better. So thank you very much. We truly appreciate. Miss G,
Emma,
thanks a lot. Thanks for sharing your experience in Tokyo at the OBS. At the OBS, what TB?
Olympic Broadcasting Services.
Emma. But by the OB van. But thank you so much, and thanks to everyone that was watching this evening. We appreciate it, and we'll see you next month. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
They haven't cut me.